Hi YouTube. Today we're going to be continuing the build-up of the Century Arms Wasr AK-47 rifle. This is a model 1063, and what we're going to be addressing today is going to be the issue of canted sights, which is notorious for these particular rifles. Canted sights actually affects a wide variety of rifles, everything from SKSs to even a few AR-15s. But what we're going to be targeting towards specifically here is going to be the AK-47 variant. Now, to do this project, you're going to actually need a few things. One of which is going to be a wooden block set that, in order to be able to clamp this thing into the vise. Now, I made these blocks out of some scrap pieces of oak. Oak is a real good hard wood. It gives you a real good solid clamping surface. Another thing that you're going to need is a little small light-duty hammer. This one weighs about 6 or 8 ounces. It's got 2 faces on it, a urethane and a hard rubber. Another thing that you're going to want to have for this project is going to be a front sight drift tool. One of these little jewels right here. You can pick them up off of eBay for about $7 or $8, and that's shipped to the house. They're very, very cheap. Another thing that you're going to need is a laser bore sighter. And what I use here is going to be a sight light. Show you what this thing looks like. And this is actually a very simple process of fixing canted sights. A lot of people sweat over this issue, but it's actually, there's the bore sighter there. A lot of people sweat over this issue, but it's actually a very simple process on how to fix. And I'm going to show you how to do that. Go ahead and set up the camera here at this thing here. Line that up. Bear with me, I'm out here by myself, and I'm out here in Florida actually, in one of the few states that ain't got no snow, and we don't understand why, because it's cold out here. Alright, I went ahead and took my rifle apart and stripped down all the wood off of it and everything, because we're not going to be using the wood. We don't need it. And took the flash hider off the front of it. That's kind of important, because we're going to be putting this bore sighter in there. You take your block of wood, you're going to apply it right there. You're going to put the other one on the other side, and you're going to lock this thing into your vise. You want to make sure that this is as close to this front sight as you can possibly get it without hindering the movement of the sight itself. Then you're going to chuck it up, clamp it down. There you go. And with those wooden blocks in there, you're going to have a good solid clamping force on that barrel. Oops, just dropped my hammer. Alright, with that clamped in, you're going to go ahead and take your front sight tool. You're going to look down the front of this sight right here, and if you look, I'm not going to be able to put it on the video because you're not going to be able to see it, but on any AK-47, if you look down on this front sight, you're going to see 2 notches. You're going to see one on this drift right here that moves back and forth, and there's also another one on the sight itself. Take your front sight post tool and make sure that that's lined up. You want to line your center post as close to center of the crown here as you can. That way you can really determine if the front sight is canted. Alright, with that being said, you go ahead and, now this particular tool, I've already got this thing set up for a 30 caliber, so it'll go ahead and slide right in. You go ahead and slide it in. Now the distance of my laser here is only about 15 feet is the distance I'm working with here, but I'm going to go ahead and turn the laser on, and the whole idea here is to get an idea of where that sight is canted to. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to sight down this rear sight, and you're going to line up your center of your front sight here from the center of the post, and then you're going to line up that red dot that you see on the garage door there. Now, if everything goes right, if your front sight is straight, then that red dot should show up dead center just over the sight post here. But if not, whether it's left or right, then you know that your front sight is canted slightly. And here's how you fix it. With that all being done, you go ahead and get a good view here. You ought to be able to see that. maybe a little back. There we go. Okay, you're going to go ahead and pull your sight laser out, and then you're going to take your hammer, and I usually like to use a block of wood, but actually these front sight posts, I mean, the only thing you might do is mar up the finish just a little bit, but it's, you know, you can wipe it off, clean it off. But you can take a block of wood and lay it up there if you're concerned about that finish, because some of these rifles actually are gun coated, and you don't want to mess up that gun coat. But either way, what you're going to do is, you see this area right here? This is where you're going to be wrapping. You're going to tap that thing on either side, right at the top of that sight. And what you're going to do is you're going to give it several sharp, hard blows, like just whop, whop, whop. Okay, give it 3 blows. Then go ahead and put your bore sighter back in. And then after you line that up, you're going to check your sights again and see if your rear sight and your sight post and your laser are lined up. If they're not lined up, you're going to go ahead and take this back out. You're going to go ahead and you're going to beat on that again. You might do it 2 or 3 times. Whack, whack, whack. And I mean, when I'm talking about hit it, I mean, you're going to, just like that. That type of hit. And in order to move that thing. Now, it may take a little bit of persistence to get it to move at all. But the whole idea of having these blocks right where they are and having such a light hammer is to be able to give you a good solid purchase to where it's not going to slip or twist the barrel. And you've got a light duty hammer, so the chances of actually damaging the barrel and the sights is minimized. Okay. Do that again, check your sights again, and you keep doing that and back and forth, putting your laser sight in there and checking your sights until you line up your rear sight with your sight post here, and then that laser dot is right on top. So that you're going to see a laser dot that's right on top of that center post when you sight it in. And that's it. That's the crux of it. That's just how easy these things are to fix. Now, some places when you go online, I've read everything from having to drill these 2. You can see these 2 little pins right here. They talk about drilling those 2 pins out or driving those 2 pins out, and then taking a hammer and tapping that side over, and then realigning those holes and putting those pins back in. Well, you run a real risk of, first of all, you're going to mar your sight up. If you get off on those pins and you drill them wrong, then you've done screwed up, because then it's going to be harder to line up and everything. You end up with a lot of headaches, and ultimately you'll end up having to take that thing to a gunsmith to get it fixed. But this way, when I'm talking about you clamp it up like that, you use the hammer to tighten, slip the thing over, those pins actually do wedge the front sight nice and tight on there, but the front sight will move if struck hard enough and sharply enough. Now, you have to understand that that in the desert, when the Iraqis are using these things, I doubt it very seriously that they're out there with a microscope drilling these pins out and knocking them out and everything and sighting them in and all that stuff. If they've got an armory nearby, maybe. But these things are operated in the desert, and they're maintained in the desert, and these guys probably use nothing more than a club and a rock to recant these sights, if they do anything with them at all. So like I said, this is the easiest way to do it. You guys try it, let me know what you think, and thanks for tuning in. Happy building.